I need a box of biscuits, a box of biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. Hi, sound is hard. You get all this great tech, but it's a whole other story to make it sound good. Today we will cover how do you place your audio equipment, how do you set it up for recording and broadcasting, and we will also cover VST effect and how to use them to get a better sounding voice. And in the end, we will record the small songs where we will use the male and female voices to test all the effects in action. Alright, so let's get right into it. You bought a mic and some sort of a compressor because you did not find where to connect your XLR cable. How do you get the best of it? First, you need to check your mic. Does it say dynamic or condenser? For dynamic mic, you want it to be basically poking you in the face. And condenser mic, it's fine to put it further away. Benefit of dynamic mic is that because it's in your face, it can cancel all surrounding sounds better. Which means that if you have like a noisy computer or the fan around or noisy outside, it would be much easier for you to get rid of those sounds. But the condenser mic will really allow you to get much deeper in the nuances of the sound sometimes, and especially if you're recording the musical instruments, the dynamic ones is not too great for you. So this is pretty much it when it comes to the placement. There are lots of nuances, but they are not as important at the beginning. After that, we are ready to move into the compressor settings. I have a fancy Goxlr, but compressors will have similar settings, and there are no best settings anyway, so you will have to fiddle around with it. Let's go through some examples so you actually know what you're doing. I will turn on the fan in my room all the way to max, so sound is very loud and you can feel a lot of distortion. So let's record a phrase. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. Now, you don't have to have such a horrible sound all the time. You can actually improve it quite a bit by just configuring your compressor. One thing you can do is to configure the noise gate. It will be very useful for you when you are not actually speaking. This means that if you are silent, there is a certain volume that sound needs to reach before it can consider as an existing volume. That allows you to just get rid of any sound when you are quiet in case you have some background noises, cars, etc. But it will not help you to filter out the voice while you are speaking. For that, you can use a different trick. Well, not really a trick, you will need to use a compressor. Compressor allows you to really address two things. Peak volumes if you speak way too high or way too low, and it allows you to kind of get rid of some of the sounds from the background. Let's see how this affects if I just record the same. I need a box of biscuits in the same environment as before. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. You can see that sound is much more clear now and it sounds way better. And this is because a compressor was able to get rid of some of the fan sounds. But sometimes you can misconfigure the compressor and you need to know how that sounds too. So let's get the compressor way too high and see what difference does it make. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. In this case, it actually sounds surprisingly well, but I can include some examples from the past streams when the wrong compressor settings makes everything just completely unwatchable. Yes, there was this moment where he was just winning at the beginning, but... And you can see, just by setting up our equipment properly, we already see quite a bit of difference in our sound quality, but we can actually push it much further. Let's leave our compressor alone for a moment and put our attention to the loudness of the sound. If we go way too loud, there will be very annoying sounds that's gonna break everything and very not pleasant to hear. And we can actually fix it for absolutely free. Let's open OBS and add the sound source. If we go to the filters, we can add the limiter filter. It allows us to say hard no to the certain levels of the peak sounds. So if you go like, ah, you will never get blocked in any sort of a horrible way. And well, you can actually scream and still sound good. But what if we want to get even more granular with our sound control? Can we do something about that? Well, at first, let's start with sound recording, because in this case, we don't really care about real time and sound delay like we do with the broadcasting. I will work with Adobe Audition, but it's not mandatory, and you can work with any programs that can have connection to VST plugins. So what is VST? VST is basically a program that you can run to process your voice. Here are some great ones that I've found. I use iZotope. Inside this set of VSTs, they have declicked the reverb, the S, the clip, so a lot of things that you really need if you are very bad with your sound and you need a lot of restoration. Let's see how it actually can work for you. So we have the box of biscuits recording from the previous step. Let's see if we can improve it. So let's listen to the different recordings from the different stages. So here is the worst one without any compressor. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. Here is the one with a compressor. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. And let's process it with restoration and de-reverb and de-noise, etc. and see how this sounds after the processing with the plugins. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. You can see the difference is quite drastic and we can push the sound further. You can also apply some voice effects to make a sound more consistent. One of them is a vocal rider that I like. It allows to normalize the sound. And parametric equalizer is actually can be used to boost out the ranges that we really want to hear on top of the wave. The difference here is much more subtle, so let's compare the difference. Here is before. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. And here is after. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. This makes us ready to record audio, even if we have quite a bit of noise around, but we really want to get as good as possible with our noise treatment, or at least like hide from something very, very loud around you. And to be fair, it's much more important to filter out sounds when we are working live than when we are recording, because when we are live, we probably cannot be inside the cupboard or something like this, or situation can happen. In here, a couple of different things are coming to play. We are broadcasting, so we need to do everything in real time, and there are not supposed to be any significant delays because we want to have a conversation with the people. For that, I kind of go into the simplicity. We can add the same VSTs that we used in Adobe Audition inside the OBS. In the filters where we added the limiter, we have the option to add VSTs. But they introduce a little bit too much delay, and it's kind of hard to synchronize your audio with the video. I prefer to just use NVIDIA RTX Voice for that, because it introduces very minimal delay, and it allows you to filter out most of the sound and have the slider to control situation based on whatever sound is around you at the moment. And it never sounds too bad, but I would recommend in this case to have the separate recording of the sound without RTX Voice, so you can have the clean sounds that you can process down the line. Let's see what difference NVIDIA RTX makes when we record the same box of biscuits with a fan. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. You can hear that sound is not really robotic and quite clean, and we filter out most of the background noise. Nice technology. So for streams, I really recommend to go with RTX Voice plus compressor plus limiter if you really want to prevent shouting to be an issue. Alright, and now when we've figured out some baseline mic quality, we can get into the characters and how to play with voices. For that, let's grab our two oldest characters and meet Kara and Blue. They're a nice representation of the voice edges that I will face, as Bunny's voice is very high and Bear is very low. So let's start with Boo, as he is closer to my voice. Step 1 to determine the character voice is how do we settle down on some guidelines. Blue will have the deep and strong voice, as he's a bear. The voice will not be choppy, it will be kind of sustained sound with a lot of resonances. If you want to speak with a little bit more choppy sentences, you can speak like that, but the bear voice is supposed to be more stronger, deeper, and get a little bit more of a flow into it. So we will get into something like that. The bear characters should be on a trickster side, so maybe the voice itself will be a little bit more floaty that goes, up and down, and you'll never really know what's gonna happen with that. But if you go too much, you kind of go Middle Eastern magician. It sounds a little bit too funky, but I want to play with that. And well, at the end, we'll need some distance between my normal voice and the character voice, so I think I will go into more of a throaty sound. You can get more breathy, and you can get more throaty. So the sound is more stuck into your throat. So Bear would be basically some version of the deep Eric Cartman. Let's start to record with these guidelines and let's see how we can get the rare voice out of it. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. We'll probably play with it more, but I think I kind of like the way it sounds right now. We'll have to play with voice more, and I will probably start streaming with the characters to be able to stay in a voice more naturally and for a longer time. Higher female voice is much harder to me because my voice is really far away from it, and if I go very high, it sounds way too scratchy for ears, so we kind of have to plan around this. Couple of things to consider when you are just working with your voice. First, keep track on how tense is your voice. To understand how that works, it's useful to pay attention to brassy sound versus strong sound, and let's see how it works. We can go from brassy ah to the real sound ah. Let's see. You can see we're coming from just breathing out essentially all the way to saying ah, right? So we can go back and forth and we can see that there is like more resonances adding and more sound. So I found when I specifically work with higher voices, it's much easier if I go from the brassy voice and go higher. It just strains my throat way less when I do it this way, and I think it's useful. The second thing would be a twang. Twang in a voice allows you to go through the block parts without cracking your voice. So if you sing the note and you go higher, at some point you will hit a block, right? You'll be and this like disgusting sound is the one that you want to avoid. And twang is the one that allows you to do it. To understand what it is, you essentially can remember Janice from the Friends. Janice, right? So this all this kind of very deep sound. So the Janice is also quite nasal, but you can do the same sound without nasal, right? So it will be right? So a little bit different, but what that allows you to do is as you're getting closer to these blocking points, if you're starting to use a twang, you can kind of bypass it and still keep the sound. Let's give an example. Still disgusting, but you can see that last time that we can go further now because we use the twang a little bit. Like, you'll never really get the blocking sound in this way. Now let's lay out a little bit the bunny's voice and how it compares with a bear. Caro would have more of a light and flicking voice. We have the big bear with the big lungs and the small bunny with the small lungs. And flicking means that we're gonna punch voice, and it will be a little bit more of a maybe shorter paced speech, or maybe we can dub the voice a little bit. Actually, yeah, the dubbing probably will be the part of that. We want to throw the words one by one, or maybe find some sort of an interesting sound, melody, or rhythms that Bunny gonna use. Probably not like this, but something like that. So there is some rhythm to the speech. And it will allow me also to get the speech into the smaller chunks, which would allow me to better control the sound. And with a bear, I can make it longer sentences because my voice is kind of similar. But with a bunny, I will need to get much more granular. Also, I tried various type of pitching my voice up, but a lot of things is outside my voice range. So my voice has to be more on the brassy side as opposed to on a dry side or like strong side because it's just way too scratchy. So we will try some higher voice, but it will move like brassy one with a little bit more softness that we can control better. So let's try to get some Cara voice biscuit sentence. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer.
I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer. I need a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, and a biscuit mixer.
Now let's try to apply all that into the song. I found a song on Epidemic Sound called Hold You One Last Time. Let's hear original a little bit.
Every moment tonight, they led me to you. Every single time you look at me, I lose it too.
You can see it's vocoded quite a bit originally, so that will help me to feel better when I'm cranking up my pitch correctors, and we will replace original vocals with the voices of the bunny and a bear. So let me know what you think. Do these voices work for you? Any suggestions? Disgusting? Great. Let me know.
Every moment tonight, let me to you. Every single time you look at me, I lose it too. Why don't you come sit next to me? Let things happen naturally, like it used to be.
I don't wanna go and waste another day. Mess it up, I cannot stay. My wealth is a one, so here's the highest price to pay. If I make it home tonight, may I hold you?